Hi everybody, this is Father Warner D'Souza and we are in the Tuesday of the 10th week in Ordinary Time, Matthew chapter 5 verses 13 to 16. The intended hearers of Matthew's first discourse are principally the disciples. So this passage is really for you and me, plain and simple. The question being raised by Jesus is this: if we lose our Christian distinctiveness, how can we become Christian again? Jesus does this by giving us two assertions. We see it in verse 13a and verse 14. Then he gives us two examples in verse 13b and 14b. And finally he gives us a commandment in verse 16. So this is not some suggestion that the Lord is making, but a clear commandment, unlike what we saw in the Beatitudes. Jesus' instructions in these verses are statements of facts. He does not say you should be the light of the world. He says you are the light of the world. And in doing so, he gives us identity before behavior. Our identity is that we are salt and light to the world. Now, knowing who we are, we have clarity of therefore how we should behave. The metaphors of Jesus have, unfortunately, to be explained to the modern world. What was once common sense example is today obscured. Jesus did not need to give a commentary on the importance of salt and light. The metaphor to the people of his times was clear. Both these metaphors were highly valued and important to daily living in the ancient world. Let me cite an example for you. The very word salary comes from the word salt. Salt was a highly valued commodity and Roman soldiers were paid their salary in salt. Salt was used for seasoning and used as a preservative in a world that had never even imagined a refrigerator. Similarly, light too, like salt, served to illuminate a home. Often poorer homes would have but a single clay lamp, and that's why it made sense to keep it up on a pedestal so that its light would be diffused over the room. Why then would anyone allow salt to be saltless and light to be hidden under a bushel? The very thought of doing that would be so bizarre to the listeners of Jesus, but that is exactly the point that Jesus is making to his disciples and making to us. Let us look at this text in its context. The larger context is the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus has just set clearly the description of Christian living in the Beatitudes, and now he is giving us a prescription in defining our identity, who we are. What makes us salty? What makes us the light is precisely that we live out the Beatitudes. It is in living these prescriptions that a Christian is the salt and is the light of the world. Measure your own saltiness and light by reading once again the prescriptions of Christian living. Am I poor in spirit? Do I mourn with others? Am I meek and merciful and humble of heart? If the answer to the Beatitudes is yes, then you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Interestingly, Christians strive to be sweet to one another. I guess it's time we all were salty. If you, my dear friends, like these reflections and have not yet subscribed to this channel, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button. But here's something else you can do for evangelization. Share these messages via WhatsApp and social media with your friends so that everybody can truly understand the beauty of the Gospels. These texts are also available on my blog, pottypadre.com. Just go to the section marked Faith and you will find many scripture explanations. Thank you and have a blessed day.